Okay, last section of chapter 9, 9.9, quadratic formula and the discriminant. So there's different songs and things like that to help you memorize this, but it is x equals negative b plus or minus the square root of b squared minus 4ac all divided by 2a. It looks a lot scarier than it really is, I promise. But this is, yet again, just another way to solve quadratics. So we're going to go through this step by step. You guys can do it. So the other thing we need to know is the discriminant is all the stuff that's underneath of the square root in this formula, so the b squared minus 4ac. The discriminant can tell us a couple different things. So if the discriminant is greater than 0 or positive, that means that we are going to have two real solutions, or the graph is going to touch 2 times on the x-axis. Something like that. If the discriminant is equal to 0, that means we're only going to get one solution. So that will look, these little tiny graphs I'm drawing, maybe something like this, where the vertex sits right on the axis there. And if you have something where it is less than 0 or negative, that means that you are going to get no solutions and your graph is not touching the x-axis at all. Okay, so for each of these, we are going to use the discriminant first to tell how many solutions there are, and then we will use this lovely quadratic formula to solve. All right, so first thing, let's use this discriminant to tell how many solutions we have. So I have b squared minus 4ac. Let's identify those first. A is 6, b is 5, c is negative 4. So I'm going to plug these in. Make sure you plug stuff in parentheses. So I'm going to have 5 squared minus 4 times 6 times negative 4. Again, this is where you guys should just pull out your calculator and type it in, because I don't want you making little mistakes. I'm just going to type it in just like this. So I get 121 for my discriminant. So then if I look back up to my key here, is 121 greater than 0, equal to 0, or less than 0? So since this is greater than 0, this means I'm going to have two solutions. Oops, sorry. That's why you should have your phone shut off. So I have two real solutions here. All right, now I am going to go through and actually use this formula to solve. So I'm going to just plug these things in. Negative b, so that would be negative 5, plus or minus the square root of, well, actually, time out. We already did all that stuff. We did the discriminant. That was 121. So I'm actually not going to do all this. I'm just going to say, hey, that's going to be 121. All over 2 times a. Okay, now we're going to simplify piece by piece. The square root of 121 is 11. And the beauty of this formula is that it already has the plus and minus built into it, because it knows you're taking a square root and you need the positive and negative answers. And then this would be divided by 12. So now, at this point, I'm going to break this up into 2. I'm going to say x is equal to negative 5 plus 11 over 12. And x is equal to negative 5 minus 11 over 12. And now we need to solve each of these. So let me bring this one up here. Negative 5 plus 11 takes us to 6. 6 over 12 simplifies to 1/2. So that's one of my solutions. And then this one, if I do negative 5 minus 11, that gives me negative 16. Let's move this one up here. 16 over 12, those are both divisible by 4, so this would be negative 4/3. Or negative 1 1/3. Okay, so those would be the two spots that this would cross the x-axis on this graph, at positive 1/2 and at negative 4/3, or negative 1 1/3. Okay, let's try example 2. So let's use that discriminant. I'm going to say A is 1, B is 3, C is -7. Discriminant is the b squared minus 4ac. So we'll plug that stuff in. 3 squared minus 4 times 1 times c. So if I type that in, 3 squared minus 4 times 1. You can leave out the times 1 if you want, because that's not going to do anything. Gives us 37 for the discriminant. Is 37 positive, negative, or 0? Since it is greater than 0 or positive, that means, again, I'm going to have 2 solutions. That's what the discriminant is telling us. Okay, now I am going to plug stuff into the rest of the formula. So x equals negative b, so that's -3, plus or minus the square root of the discriminant, 37, all over 2 times a. A was what? 1. Okay, now let's simplify. Square root of 37 over 2. Now this right here would be an exact answer because 37 is not a perfect square, so I can't really do anything with that. But let's get a decimal answer here too, because when I look at this, I have no idea where that is on a graph. So let's get a decimal answer for this. So the square root of 37, I'm going to break this up and simplify that at the same time. So I'm going to have x equals -3 plus, let's look at what the square root of 37 is. That is going to be 6.08 over 2. And then I also have to have the other half, so that's -3 minus the 6.08 over 2. So let's simplify that now. -3 plus 6.08 is 3.08, and then I am going to divide by 2. So this one gives me 1.54. And here, -3 minus 6.08. And then if I divide that by 2, that one takes me to -4.54. Those would be my 2 spots that that graph would cross the x-axis. Okay, 2 more. A is 3, B is -2, C is +2. Discriminant, b squared minus 4ac. So b squared minus 4ac. Type that in. That gives us -20. Now we're saying, is -20 equal to 0, greater than 0, or less than 0? -20 is less than 0. Therefore, there are no real solutions. So this graph would not touch the x-axis. And if you do not believe me, type it into your calculator and find out. Alright, I want you guys to go through and try example 4 on your own. You can do it. Start by identifying A, B, and C using the discriminant. I'll give you a clue. Your discriminant should give you 1 solution. And then see where you can go from there. And we will go over it tomorrow in class. And last joke. Where does a sheep go for a haircut? Goes to the barber shop. Haha, get it? Barber shop. Hee hee.